Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Philly Sports 76 bringing you a kind of a recap, but also like a message that I want to get out. Um, Chris Herren is a former NBA player, and today he visited my school, but he didn't come to my school to talk about the NBA. He came because his life and his entire career was affected by drug abuse. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he has a pretty strong story, and it really gets to it really gets to anyone. I'll get into that. So anyway, he used to play for the NBA. He was drafted in the second round by the Denver Nuggets. However, coming out of high school and college, he was supposed to be one of the best players in the nation. He was ranked up there with Allen Iverson and Ray Allen and Felipe Lopez. But drugs really bothered his career, and it actually prevented him from being drafted in the first round. He was projected to go in the top 15, or from 15 to 20, something like that. But instead he was drafted in the second round because he had failed drug tests in college. But I'll get into his story and all that. I just want to show you the autographs. And there's a glare there. I got him on a card. It's actually the back of the card. Sorry for the glare. But I got the card off of Check Out My Cards because I didn't have anything. I didn't have any cards that were his. He played in 1999 and 2000. So I didn't know that when I got the card it would be kind of like, I don't know. I just knew when I got the card it wasn't going to be, the autograph wouldn't come out good on the front, but it came out actually pretty good on the back. It is his rookie card too, him on the Nuggets. So I got that signed, and I also got a picture of him when he was on the Celtics, and that's Allen Iverson right there. So I thought that was pretty cool because he was supposed to be right up there with Allen Iverson. But watching him play, I watched videos on YouTube about him playing, and he was actually really, really good. Like, he went to Boston College, and he was from Massachusetts. So I got that 4x6 photo signed and that card. So more importantly, I went. He wrote a book, and my school had us read it, and they brought him into the school to talk about it. But I just felt like I don't know. It was more than when I met him and getting an autograph. It was more important to me actually meeting him than I thought it was getting an autograph. And that's kind of like the first time I've ever felt that. Usually when I meet players like on the Sixers or Phillies players, it's kind of like, cool, I'm meeting him, but it's cool to get their autograph too. But this guy, it kind of felt like when I met him, his autograph didn't even matter to me. Like, his story is just so powerful that I just cared more about his story than I actually did him signing anything. But I still got the stuff signed. So anyway, his story, it goes, and let me just put my camera down. His story is so great and so, horrible at the same time. He was projected to be like I said, a top pick coming out of college, but he got into drugs, and that in turn ruined his career. He said he couldn't even play. Without drugs. Like, he even said during the NBA, he was so bad on drugs that that he would have before his first career start. The coach told him he was starting, and he didn't plan on starting that game. So he thought he could make it without taking drugs before, but he knew he couldn't. He was so dependent on drugs that he couldn't even play the game without getting drugs. So he called his drug dealer and actually had drugs delivered to the stadium. He was waiting outside of the stadium 8 minutes before the game started to get his drugs. And I mean, he just said how pathetic that was, that he had gone so low, and that wasn't even the lowest of his career his drug problem, that waiting outside. And that was when he was with the drug OxyContin, and he said he started with it started out with alcohol, then built up from marijuana, then to OxyContin, and then it got onto cocaine and and the worst of it was heroin. So he said he became actually a really bad drug addict, and even calls himself a junkie. And after his NBA career was over because of his drug problem, he finished with the Celtics, and he was supposedly going to start for the Dallas Mavericks the next year, but they were going to do a training camp, and they were going to give him a drug test, and he said he just quit right on the spot, and he was almost guaranteed to make the team. He actually led the league in the summer league in scoring, but he quit because he couldn't do it anymore because of the drugs. And it's a really sad story because he has a wife, and now he has 3 kids, and so he keeps going on, and then he eventually goes on to overseas and plays, but the drug problems just continue and continue, and he's had life-threatening situations. Like this one time he said he was driving his car, and he met his drug dealer at Dunkin' Donuts, and then shot heroin right in his car and was almost killed in a car crash because he overdosed, and he actually he was dead for 30 seconds, and I mean, just terrible situation. And you can look at these people who do drugs like this in two different ways. Like, yeah, he's a drug addict, he kind of deserves this because he refuses help from people, but it got so low that this one guy in a rehab, he was finally able to get into rehab because of Chris Mullin, who is obviously an NBA all-star and player on the Dream Team, the original Dream Team. Chris Mullin was actually an alcoholic. I didn't know that, but he was a pretty serious alcoholic. He actually called Chris Herren and got him help. And one guy at the rehab center, when Chris Herren, he left one night the rehab and got high, and that was after a couple months in there, and so the guy just told Chris, hey man, you're not doing anyone a favor. Just when you go home, call your wife and call your children and tell them that it's better off if you just leave them. That you're so pathetic. The best thing for them to do would be to just leave them and stop ruining their lives. And that's what in turn that's what saved his life, because he realized right there that he needs to be a better father and a better husband, and so he stopped right there, and that day was when he actually got sober, and he's been sober ever since. He's been sober for like 4.5 years now, but his message is so deep. Now he goes and he has his own charity. It's called the Chris Herren Project, and what it does is it helps people who are affected and addicted with drugs. But I listened to him speak today, and it was so impactful. And I know I'm 15 years old, and I know that there's kids everywhere that do drugs, but I've fortunately been blessed to not be around that or never have done or gone near drugs, and I can honestly say that. But there's kids that can't say that. So he said he started his speech out by saying he hopes that his speeches can affect just one person every time he talks, because if he can save one person from going down the road that he went on, then it'll be a success. So I really felt blessed and touched to have him come in and speak to me, because I got a lot out of it, and I never wanted to do drugs or anything like that in the first place, but just hearing his story and how scary it is to really do that kind of stuff, it's really bad, and he really explains it very well, and I thought that it was really well spoken. He got like right to the point, and he delivered it really well. That's what I thought. And after the speech, I guess he noticed I was sitting in the front row for a reason. He gave it to my entire school, so it was in the gym, but I sat in the front so that I could really pay attention to his story. And he goes on and says, like, he's heard people come into his school and speak, and when he was in high school, and he just blew it off because he thought he'd never be like that. But here he is giving his speech, and he said he would do anything to go back and actually listen to those people. So, um, he when he was done his speech, he came down, and I guess he noticed while he was speaking that I was really paying attention and really listening, because when he was done his speech, I was like one of the first people he came over and shook hands with. And he looked me right in the eye and asked me how I'm doing and patted me on the shoulder, and I just felt like there was some kind of connection between us. I don't know, but it just seemed like he knew that he made an impact on my life at that moment, and it was really good. So if you want to hear more about his story, he has an ESPN film 30 for 30 about him. It's called Unguarded. It's like a 6-part series on YouTube, and I highly suggest that you watch it. It's a really great story, a really well done video. But you know, you can look. What I got out of it is you can see people who are drug addicts and think like, well, they deserve to be poor and everything. But you can also see like his story. There was times when he refused help and all that stuff, but like, it was so bad that his life depended on it. Like, he said he would spend all his money, and he's heard people when he talks who have actually stolen from their own children just to get money. Like, he said he sold his children's PlayStation and Xbox just to get money for drugs, and it's really terrible, but it's also really sad at the same time that he got so low that he couldn't even function without using drugs. So I also find it inspirational to be able to overcome that. He was at the lowest you can probably ever go, but he's overcome that, and he's clean for 4 years, and it was just a really great story, and I really actually look up to him, not as who he was, but who he is now, that he admits it and is able to speak to people and tell his story the way he does. So I highly suggest watching ESPN Films 30 for 30, and his book, if you want to read it. It's only like 200 pages, but it's called Basketball Junkie by Herren. So I highly suggest both of those. It's a really great story, and I know this is a long video, but I thought that it's a really great message to anyone who has been ever approached by drugs, or even if you have done drugs. I don't know anyone on YouTube personally, but it's just, if you're looking for a way out, or just a reason to never do it, I'd highly suggest looking into this guy's story. So that's all I want to say. Thank you very much, YouTube.